All right. What were your highlights from New York this week?
Continuing to love the strange gravitational pull of Jenna Lyons, who's like simultaneously by far the most powerful figure on the show and the most insecure figure on the show. It's just such a compelling dynamic to have her like have this like kind of awkwardness and this like genetic disorder that she's like very open about, that makes her like very like vulnerable, and at the same time being the one who has like by far the most professional success and like the most influential figure in the show, so that everybody's kind of like awkwardly in her orbit of both like trying to suck up to her, getting tired of her, feeling sorry for her, feeling like they should never feel sorry for her because she's got more influence than they have. That like the influence that she has as like the sun at the center of this solar system is like really interesting to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. And actually, it reminds me a lot of the presence that Raquel has on Vanderpump Rules. Sorry, Rachel. There's a certain awkwardness and uncertainty about the way that she carried herself on that show. I initially was like, I don't know that this is a very like compelling thing to watch. It does not feel like anything else that we have seen on Bravo, but it really is. And watching someone navigate that and feeling your own, like, it's very easy to project your own uncertainties and anxieties onto someone that operates in that way when you're watching it on screen. It's like, oh, okay, I can see like I would navigate that situation in the same way and make those same mistakes.
Yeah. When somebody is like visibly awkward on screen, I think you hit on something there. It makes it easier to self-insert in a way, into the character. It's easy to cheer for somebody who's like very confident, but it's easy to self-insert in somebody who's like openly displaying insecurity. Obviously, the huge difference between Rachel and Jenna is that Rachel was automatically on the periphery of the group, and Jenna is automatically in the center, just as being like the most established one that the reboot seems to have been almost built around. So that just makes it interesting in a whole different way for me. But I definitely find myself like instantly sympathetic to her and like wanting to uh defend when people come up with comments where like Brynn's like, it's like she doesn't know like girls trip 101, and it's like, yeah, but that's what's so adorable about her, is that she's like openly saying like, I've never done a girls trip, and like uh and when she like makes awkward decisions, you want to take her side because it's like, yeah, that's sweet, you want to cheer for her.
What other highlights did you have?
Let's just talk about the food that they have at Anguilla when they show up there. And they just like, and they're all like, oh wow, look at the spread. And they walk into a kitchen, like this totally clean kitchen that looks like it hasn't been used all day. And it's got like tacos and hamburgers with not like a trace of steam or anything. Like these are just cold tacos and hamburgers. They're just eating like cold food, cold gelatinous congealed food that's supposed to be hot. It's just so weird to me, and that nobody mentions that either. They're just like, oh yes, great, real food finally, unlike at Aaron's place. Like I would rather have fish roe on a cracker than like a cold hamburger that's looks like it's been sitting on a counter for 2 hours.
Yeah, I had a note on that too. I was like, is this catered by Kirkland? Like everything looks like it was Costco buns, Costco like
Yeah.
frozen patties. It was not appealing whatsoever. It looked like standard resort fare, but they're, in this villa that's supposed to be this elevated
Mm-hmm.
vacation experience. And yeah, to compare it to, I guess Pringles with caviar on it, maybe that's an upgrade, but I, I don't know. Yeah, it was not exactly appealing to me either.
Yeah, I would rather scarf down Pringles and caviar, I think, than just like, yeah, like you said, they look like very generic burgers. It kind of reminded me of that like that Trump photo shoot, where he's got like a bunch of like hamburgers on a table, and he's like, hey, look, there's a bunch of hamburgers just sitting here for who knows how long. Like it's just not doesn't seem appealing. I love a hamburger, but like a bunch of them just sitting cold on a counter is like very unappealing.
I guess the big sort of question of this episode is, what is Jenna's motivation for flying out on her own? I'm curious what your perspective was on this.
I mean, she says both, right? I think she hedges it by saying it was primarily to get a base layer on her tan, but I guess why can't it be both? I mean, I do agree that it like comes off as like really snobbish and annoying to be like, I'm gonna get a different flight because I don't want to fly coach. But if you're rich and you're getting older and you're 6'1" and you want to be comfortable, I can kind of get it.
I think that it was actually the primary motivation, but also I don't blame her whatsoever. Actually, watching this travel montage like we usually get on these shows, I don't know if you've seen those memes where it's like new ick unlocked, and I think my new ick is Housewives flying coach, because it's like, oh, have some like self-respect crawling into these cramped quarters. I want to see the glamour. I want to see them in like first class or flying private.
Yeah, and they can do more of their thing instead of having like little tiny moments of lowering their mask on like a cell phone camera and being like, "Hey, getting wacky," but no, gotta buckle up, Just
Yeah.
let's see them in the PJ drinking champagne. That's just more televisual.
Yeah, for sure. Did you have any other highlights from New York?
Yeah, I it's funny and also kind of relatable the way Pavitt's going to go to like Vietnam for like 2 days. Like that's just it's kind of a weird thing to do. But I can't like fault his defense. Like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go have a good banh mi sandwich, and Jessel says like, so what are you gonna do? Spend time with a sandwich? And like, yeah, man, why not? If you have the means to fly to Vietnam to get a really good fucking sandwich, then fly out. Sounds like a good life. Enjoy.
Yeah,
that.
I mean, if you're going to be flying there, it's maybe like $2,000 round trip plus like a couple nights in Vietnam. A banh mi is not that expensive.
No,
if
that's
you're
not the final financial commitment buying the banh mi.
But if you're like doing the math and being like, okay, I'm gonna spend, $20,000 on a banh mi sandwich. Yes, that seems kind of crazy, but when you compare it to spending $60,000 on coloring, as Pavitt has mentioned for the preschool, it's a bit more understandable.
Yeah, sure. And also I feel it when she's like, you're gonna spend 20 hours on the plane. He's like, being on a plane is a vacation for me. And yeah, being on a plane is a vacation. I know some people hate being on planes. I think it's cool to just like have to be seated in one spot for a long time. You got your books with you. You got some movies on the screen if you want. During the daylight hours, you can look out the window and see the ocean and cool scenery and stuff. That is a vacation.
Yeah.
You have no choice but to just fucking chill. Like, yeah, being on a plane for 20 hours is part of the vacation. That's not a hassle for me. That's like part of the experience. So I feel that.
Totally. And ginger ale tastes better when you're flying.
So does tomato juice.
Yeah. And airport food, when you're spending that much money on airport food, it like tastes that much better. So
airport food rules.
Yeah.
Fuck those 90s jokes. They're wrong. Airport food is awesome. You get a little tiny bottle when you get a little tiny bottle of wine, it's the best. You know what I mean? Like the little like mini bar bottle of wine. You pour it into a little plastic cup. Little tiny dessert that's like 2 bites.
There's all these like little like burger restaurants, and like they're all branded a different way in every different airport, but they're exact same menu. Like it's exact same burger, but it's because it's the best burger. Like it's the best burger that you can get. You're paying $20 for this burger, but it's the best. Full stop. That's the end of my rant.
You can't argue with the best. It's maybe no Vietnam banh mi, but it's up there. All part of the experience.
What other highlights did you have?
Good to have Uba back. I really like her line when she sees a space she likes and says, "I could come here with a donkey." I don't know what the fuck that means. So that's awesome. You know what that means? I could come here with a donkey?
No, I didn't even catch that. When did she say that?
I think she says it when they like are introduced to their living quarters, and I think she says it in the sense of like, "Oh, I really enjoy this space."
Oh, I'm gonna start saying that now.
Yeah, me too. Erin comes off looking bad again, I think, right? Showing up with her fucking butternut squash soup, and then scurrying off with gossip. Just very, very duplicitous move to just be like to just wheedle her way in with like with a hot steaming broth, like some fucking fairy tale character, and then like steal something from the larder and run off with it to spread mischief.
Yeah, definitely like not a cool move, but I loved it. Like I was waiting for to see Erin do something like this. And to see her pull a page that is, I could see someone like Tamra doing exactly this, like coming in, you know, being so warm and to the point of like Jenna being like, "Oh, I get to see Mother Erin," and then her to come out and completely misrepresent something that Jenna was like kind of joking about and use it to cause drama. I love to see this. I was glad to finally see Erin doing something. I've
Yeah.
changed my tune a little bit on Erin since we had that episode with Sandy a couple weeks back where she was like, actually, Erin is doing a lot to just be annoying and stir shit up. And yeah, I totally see that point now. I'm seeing Erin's light, and um, it sucks, but it's also great.
Yeah, I haven't quite warmed up to her that much, but I see what you're saying. Yeah, she has been kind of. They were starting to treat her collectively more like a villain, and with this, she's starting to like act the role a bit more. Like she's starting to like, that is an actual like villainous thing to do. So respect for that. Also, Brynn is like getting really intense with her like anti Jenna position. And I think she's like, I feel like we've seen a lot of her trying to take opportunities to take shots at Jenna, and I think she feels now that she has her chance to kind of go all in, and she's really she's really going for her. It seems at the end there, and I think she's just getting started. I'm not really sure why she thinks that's what she needs to do. Why do you think?
Okay, so part of me wants to like frame Bryn as kind of a mastermind because I really like her. I like what she's bringing to this cast. It could be that she sees Jenna as being this person who is not facing any sort of opposition within the group dynamic, and if she's really eager to carve out something for herself within this group, you know, creating a divide there and being someone that is going to go up against a Goliath,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a valid motivation for someone that if they are seeing the housewife as like a social game, which not everyone is, and we've talked about that before, that you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to do that in order to be a good housewife. But um, you know, Bryn makes we haven't seen how she makes her money. Presumably she makes it by winning chess tournaments. And so she's thinking two moves ahead of everyone, and I'm choosing to believe that.
Not based on the available evidence. I did love that part where she's playing chess with Sai, and she's like, "Okay, so the thing is, you got to protect the pawns. Most people think you don't protect the pawns. That's rule one. You protect the pawns." And Sai's like, "Bryn, I'm winning."
Yeah, she's not thinking two moves ahead. She's thinking two games ahead.
Right. Yeah. She's playing 3D chess. She's on
Yeah.
that con shit. Yeah, I guess basically my best interpretation was that it's just like straight up going for the most powerful person in the group, like just like straight up Gombe chimpanzee shit, like just like identifying the person who has like the most like clout and just being like, okay, I'm going to attack them. That's the best way to strike the my position by weakening the strongest one. But seems risky. But there seems to be a general turn after these new events towards like feeling more okay with being anti Jenna. The tide does seem to be turning a bit.
Yeah, one thing that I like about how she's approaching this is yes, she is kind of going all out, but she is she's framing it in a way that it's not like she can't come back from this. Like she's saying like I'm going at you because you aren't open enough with me. You don't share enough with me, and
Uh-huh.
she's framing this as being like motivated by wanting to build a stronger connection, and that's where this
Yeah,
tension is coming from. So I think she's leaving a lot of moves open for herself, to potentially turn this into a very strong bond depending on how everything shakes out, which is
potentially.
different than how I think Sai, who is starting to turn on Jenna, is approaching things. She's saying, oh, she's Jenna's self-serving. She's like only putting in her collabs into these gift boxes because she wants to build her brand and stuff like that,
Mhm.
which is more, I feel like that's more of an attack that is going to be harder to come back from with Jenna because, it seems like a personal attack that isn't
Yeah.
motivated by anything other than just calling someone selfish and self-serving.
Yeah, it is. If that's the strategy, it is also risky to approach somebody who like maybe is a little uneasy about making friendships automatically, and with the position of basically being, if you're not gonna be my friend, I'm against you.
Yeah.
That could be risky.
We got a scene in LA with Brynn and her brother. I wanted to talk
Right.
about that a little bit
Some good bro
because
action at the start here. We go
yeah,
double
yeah,
brothers.
double double brothers. I thought that I liked seeing this scene because I think you have pointed out that we have like Brynn had started off as a pretty like one-dimensional character in the way that she was operating. Um, I thought that this gave us a lot of perspective on her relationships. Like this episode opened up with a like previously on Real Housewives of New York when we got a clip of Gideon. I'm like, oh, maybe Gideon's going to come back. But really, what that was doing was setting up this conversation with Brynn and her brother, where it talks about her avoidance of commitment and, you know, how she is avoiding commitment because she is afraid of getting too close because of her past with her family. And I thought that this like was a really engaging scene because it's so complex, this relationship that she has with family, because she wants a family so badly, but also is so fearful of creating a bad family environment because she's got so much trauma in her past relating to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a real highlight for me to see that because slowly I feel like we're seeing how the Brynn that we got at the beginning of the season is constructed by all these
Uh-huh.
past events, and I just love the complexity that we're getting, built onto Brynn as a character.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely good to see her motivations and her fears get fleshed out a little bit more. And having a sibling come in, like we have with Jenna earlier too, is always a good thing for me because it's like the person you do the least performance with is your sibling. It's like you're the most like just like straight up without like trying to prove anything or like play a character or anything. So it's always interesting to me when we get a sibling come out and get to see a character from that angle.
Yeah, totally. Did you have any other highlights from New York?
That about covers it, I think. I do like the setting in Anguilla, that kind of like Santorini style building, and with like the big open windows and stuff, and you get kind of that like Alex Colville painting kind of aesthetic happening with their conversations while they eat horrible cold food. It was visually nice near the end. I hope they spend some more time there.
Yeah, I love that we got a little bit of a room drama. I think that's one of the staples of housewife girls trips is some sort of conflict or some interesting dynamic in terms of how room selection happens.
Yeah.
So I was glad to see at least a little bit of a nod to it, even if it wasn't fireworks, but for Jenna to be like, "Oh, I got this, charming little room," and then to see Jessel's room and being like, "Oh, okay, I'm actually being punished here."
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, yeah. It's always good to see.